colleagues, yesterday morning, various parts of the Lake Victoria Basin received heavy rains, which caused flooding in some places and subsequently impeded mobility, and we even lost livelihoods. I was checking in the media that we lost around 5 and 7, and more people are injured. It was very, very unfortunate what happened yesterday. Such a climate-induced occurrences are a reminder about the need for responsible and sustainable environment and natural resource use by each and every one of us. At the end of the day, natural disasters do not discriminate. Whether you're looking after nature or not, they come for you. So let us be crusaders of environmental conservation and sustainable natural resource use. But also the Committee on Physical Infrastructure, you have some work you've been working on unplanned, poor planning, and I would say people who have built in road reserves, okay, and all that. You've been doing some work. I don't know where you've reached. I hope you can interrogate this further when you're processing the ministerial policy statement. But Honorable Chair, once you're ready, please, we'll be ready to give you space to handle this issue. Honorable members, I will
join you in condoling with the bereaved families. As of close of yesterday, 7 people had passed on due to the flooding that happened in various parts of Kampala and beyond. With your permission, sir, hopefully at some point we can observe a moment of silence for
in fact, I wanted
Ugandans.
to say that we can do it now. Okay? If we could do it now, we observe a minute of silence and then Rob can continue.
May the souls of the departed rest in eternal peace.
A couple of days back, we were here and we were discussing the heat wave, which had become very problematic. Some colleagues here reported of deaths in their constituencies. People were collapsing and dying because of the extreme heat. And we're tasking government to deal with that situation, update the country on what ought to happen and so on. Now we are on the opposite side of the lane with very heavy rains that are causing flooding. As we have mentioned, 7 people died as of yesterday. Myself, in my constituency, I lost 3 people. 2 people in Mulimira zone, that's Bukoto, a 3-year-old child and an 11-month-old baby, another in Banda, and of course, different parts of Kampala. I want to implore government, to reach out to the affected families, the bereaved families. There are several that are now displaced. We are trying to find shelter for them in churches, in mosques, and so on, and take care of them from there. We are hoping that government comes in because many are not able to stay in their homes currently. They are still flooded. Others, were affected heavily. I hope that the Ministry of Disaster Preparedness, in conjunction with the Ministry of Kampala, Capital City Authority, will come in to intervene as quickly as they possibly can. But away from that immediate intervention, and I hope it will be immediate, Right Honourable Speaker, I think that government needs to update this House on what's happening to avert these happenings, because the causes are known. Poor drainage. We see buildings coming up in Kampala, every corner. There's different structures coming up. We don't know who approves them. Many of them have not planned for drainage. We see, Right Honourable Speaker, we have seen KCCA and government go after some poor people in areas like Lubiji and so on. But then there are powerful people that are not touched in the likes of Namamve, which used to be a water catchment area. But it is entirely gone. We are seeing factories, hotels, and so on, approved by government. So we don't know whether it is encroachment on the environment and on wetlands when you are poor, but when you're rich and powerful, it is okay. Because all of that is the effects that we are facing today. Our hope is that government can address these matters, because it cannot be okay for some and not okay for all the others. And then this poor planning that is all over the place. Kampala is already too congested, so we keep adding many little things here and there. Drainage is not taken care of. We need to address these matters. Otherwise, we shall be here crying again and again, mourning, to no avail.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I want to take this opportunity, first of all, to thank you for raising the concerns on the overflooding in Kampala. And regarding the issue that you raised on the work that we've been handling, we were majorly handling the Lugogo flooding, and the report is ready. So when you avail us time, we shall table the report. But, Right Honourable Speaker and honourable colleagues, this is the first rain we received, or second, yesterday's rain. And we can see the extent of the damage. And Right Honourable Speaker and honourable colleagues, I want to assure you, the little time I've been in that committee, almost 60% of the work you see going around in Kampala has no approved plans. That has no approved plans. That one, whoever has interested themselves, they know. Two, it is not even supervised by competent engineers. Because the ones we have attempted to look at, we found those challenges. It's now very important, I think, Right Honourable Speaker, that the Minister of Disaster, because now it's Kampala, there is Kasese coming, there is Bududa coming, and many other areas. So, Right Honourable Speaker and honourable colleagues, you can be sure that in this season, we shall be discussing disaster on a daily basis. I think it's very important, Right Honourable Speaker, that the Minister of Disaster Preparedness comes to this House with a plan, the plan on how prepared we are for these disasters. Because yesterday was just, it was a sample. We are headed for more trouble. So I think through you, Right Honourable Speaker, it is very important that you give timelines to the Ministry of Disaster, or for that matter, the Prime Minister's office, to come to this House and prepare the country on what they project, on what they are prepared to do, so that we are not caught unawares. Yet, actually, we are aware. We are not caught irresponsible, because we are aware of what is likely to happen. Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker.
On the issue you've raised, I think it will be very important now for the sector committee to interrogate it further, because these are issues to do with funding sometimes and all that. So the Committee on Presidential Affairs should interrogate that deeply when they're engaging with the Office of the Prime Minister. And then on the issue of the report, I'm going to cross-check with the clerk. We see when we could get for you space on the order paper, if you have submitted it already. Let me first get a response from government to issues raised.
Subject to your further guidance on the subject matter of what we are experiencing at the moment, I wish to put the following facts to the House. First and foremost, to condole with the families that lost their dear ones in yesterday's floods occasioned by heavy rain. Right Honourable Speaker, the Ministry of Water and Environment recently briefed the country comprehensively in two fronts. One, they explained why the 3 months of December 2024, January 2025, and February 2025, the country experienced dry conditions and high temperatures. They even went ahead to explain or project how the 3 months of March, April, and May would look like. I want to start with the past and come to the present. On the question of the dry conditions and high temperatures, they attributed them, 1, to natural factors, and 2, to human factors. The natural factors are scientific in nature. What I picked from them, number 1, was the influence of tropical cyclone in the Indian Ocean. That was the scientific explanation why the country was very, very hot in the 3 months of December, January, and February. Point number 2 was the position of the sun. And scientifically, they explained that during February specifically, the sun moves closer to the equator. And as we are all aware, equator directly crosses our country. That is why it was exceedingly hot. The other scientific explanation, Mr. Speaker, was what they termed as urban heat island effect, where they explained that cities and large towns experience high temperatures.
Government Chief Whip is not the causes and what, okay? Our issue is the mitigation mechanism. Because all this you have repeated here on the floor several times. Our challenge is, when all these, the scientists knew were coming, what did they do to mitigate their effects on the population? That's, if you could just help us on that. Because I remember the Minister for Environment sometime back, and also Minister for Disaster, had brought all these issues here.
I'm treating symptoms and not, in my humble opinion.
No, I said they had already been.
Of March, April, and May, heavy rains. This fact must be stated, Right Honorable Speaker. On the question of mitigation, because some of them are naturally meeting in order for them to come up with the way forward on what the country is experiencing. But I want to state that majorly it is attributed to natural disaster, partly also occasioned by our human indiscipline. That is why we will continue experiencing this. In coordination to ensure that something is done, especially to families affected. We need to be champions of environmental protection. There is no truth in us. We also need as a people, to also pray.